The film opens with a father named Dover teaching his son how to hunt deer. As a parent, Dover strongly believes his children need to be ready to survive in any situation. Later that day, the family heads over to celebrate Thanksgiving at the home of their neighbors, Nancy and Franklin. The two families are very close, and Franklin and Nancy also have two children around the same age as Dover's kids. That afternoon, Anna and Joy wander around the neighborhood with their older siblings. At one point, the two girls notice an RV parked nearby, and their curiosity immediately gets the better of them. They keep climbing on it and exploring it like it is some kind of playground. When they return, the adults are still busy talking, and before long, Anna and Joy start feeling bored. So they ask for permission to go back to Anna's house for a moment to pick up a new toy, and that is where everything starts to go wrong. Not long after, Dover realizes that Anna and Joy had gone back on their own, without their older siblings watching them. The worry quickly turns into panic when the adults discover that the girls never actually made it back to the house. Everyone starts searching around the neighborhood, but there is no sign of them anywhere. Then Dover's oldest child remembers the RV from earlier and suggests the girls may have gone back there. But when they check, the RV is already gone, and in that moment, everything changes. This is Prisoners. A detective named Loki is assigned to investigate the disappearance of Anna and Joy. That same night, the police finally manage to locate the RV. Strangely, it is parked near the woods. As officers move in to search it, the driver suddenly tries to flee. In the middle of the heavy rain, the RV crashes straight into a tree. A large branch punches through the driver's seat, and for a moment it looks like the suspect might be dead. But when the officers search inside, they find him hiding behind a curtain. Loki repeatedly presses the man for answers about where Anna and Joy are being held, but he refuses to say anything. Because of that, Loki orders a full search team to comb through the woods nearby while the suspect is taken in for interrogation. His name is Alex. Even after 10 hours of questioning, he still says nothing that can help the police find the two girls. Since Alex refuses to talk, the police turn their attention to the RV itself. At the very least, they hope to find some trace of Anna and Joy, maybe fingerprints, hair, or even pieces of fabric from their clothing. But after a thorough forensic search, they come up with nothing. Not wanting to give up, Loki decides to visit Alex's home. Alex has been living with his aunt, who has raised him since he was 10 years old. Outside the house sits an old rusted car, and inside, Loki searches Alex's room for anything suspicious. But once again, he finds no evidence at all. At this point, the only way to find Anna and Joy is to search the woods. But even after 24 hours, there is still no sign of them.
Anna! Anna!
Loki begins questioning both the Franklin and Dover families, hoping to uncover anything that might help. During the process, Dover suddenly loses his temper. He is furious with the police for failing to find his daughter, especially when he is convinced that Alex is responsible. Loki tries to explain that the situation is more complicated than it seems. After examining Alex, they discovered he has a mental disability with the intelligence of a young child. Because of that, the police cannot use force during interrogation. On top of that, if they fail to find any evidence within the next 24 hours, the law requires them to release him. For Loki, this is incredibly frustrating. He is known for solving every case he handles, yet this one is slipping out of his control. He even tries to convince his superior to keep Alex detained longer. At the same time, he continues searching for new leads by visiting the homes of registered offenders. After going through several places, he eventually arrives at the house of a former priest. When he gets there, the man is passed out from drinking, but this gives Loki a chance to look around. During his search, he discovers a hidden room.
Ay, fuck.
Later, the priest reveals that the body found in his basement belonged to a child killer from years ago, someone who came to him seeking redemption. It is a shocking discovery, and now the case feels even more complicated than before. Meanwhile, search teams begin checking the river, fearing that the girls may have drowned. But even after an extensive search, no bodies are found. In the middle of all this, Dover receives news that Alex is about to be released. The anger inside him reaches a breaking point. He cannot accept that the man he believes took his daughter is about to walk free. But there is nothing Loki can do, because holding Alex any longer would break the law. Then, as Alex is being released, Dover attacks him. And in that moment, something unexpected happens. Out of nowhere, Alex reveals a detail about Anna and Joy. He says they did not cry before he left them. What makes this so disturbing is that no one else could have known that, except someone who was actually there. Because of that, the police begin to question whether Dover is telling the truth about what he heard. Without wasting any time, Loki brings Alex in for questioning again. But his aunt insists that Alex never said anything at all. Alex himself also denies speaking to Dover in the parking lot. Now Loki is left confused, unsure of who is telling the truth. In the end, he reports the results of the interrogation to Dover over the phone, but the mystery only deepens. On the other side, Dover's wife begins to fall apart. Even her medication can no longer calm her down. The stress and grief push her to the point where she starts blaming Dover for everything. Unable to take it anymore, Dover decides he cannot rely on anyone else. He is going to find his daughter on his own. That same afternoon, he heads to Alex's aunt's house and watches from a distance, carefully observing his movements. At one point, the way Alex treats his pet raises even more suspicion, as if there is something deeper going on inside him. Without hesitation, Dover makes his move and confronts Alex in the middle of the road at gunpoint.
Alex.
Where'd you hear those words?
The next morning, Dover brings Franklin to an old house that used to belong to his family, located not far from their neighborhood. That is when Franklin learns the truth. Dover kidnapped Alex the night before. Franklin is shocked, unable to believe his friend would go this far. Even if Alex is involved, taking justice into their own hands is crossing a line. Meanwhile, Loki continues his investigation. He visits the home of a man whose case closely resembles what is happening now. 26 years earlier, the man's son, Barry, was abducted by someone driving an RV, and he has never been found. Later that day, Loki returns to the former priest to hear more about the body discovered in the basement. The priest explains that the man had once admitted to kidnapping children in broad daylight. Despite his crimes, he had once lived a normal life with a family. From day to night, Dover and Franklin spend their time trying to force answers out of Alex. They beat him repeatedly, but he refuses to say anything. Even when Dover threatens him with a hammer, Alex remains silent.
Where's my daughter? Where's my daughter?
At the same time, news of Anna and Joy's disappearance spreads across the city. That night, people gather outside Franklin's house to show their support. But in the middle of the crowd, Loki notices someone acting strangely. The more he watches, the more suspicious the man becomes. Suddenly, the man tries to run. Loki chases him through nearby yards, but in the darkness, the suspect manages to escape.
What the fuck?
This moment shakes Franklin. For the first time, he begins to question what they are doing to Alex. What if they are torturing the wrong person? But Dover refuses to believe that. To him, the suspicious man is nothing more than a distraction. He is convinced Alex is still hiding something. The next morning, Loki finally learns that Alex has gone missing. At first, he assumes someone from the department is keeping an eye on him, but it quickly becomes clear that no one knows where Alex is. This only makes the case more complicated. Later that day, a store clerk contacts Loki, claiming he has seen the suspicious man from the news. Even stranger, the man has been visiting the store almost every week to buy children's clothes. At the same time, Nancy discovers the truth about Alex being held captive. She had already grown suspicious of her husband constantly leaving the house, but instead of reacting with anger, she decides to confront the situation herself. When she arrives at the hidden location, she finds Alex badly beaten and barely able to move. Believing that Alex might still have some humanity left, Nancy quietly tries to untie him, hoping he will reveal where her daughter is being held. But her decision almost ends in disaster, because the moment Alex is freed, he suddenly turns violent.
You untied him? Huh?
After that incident, Dover realizes that simply beating Alex will not work anymore. That night he stays up, coming up with a new method. This time Alex is locked inside a small dark room. Above him, there is a pipe that releases hot water. Every time Alex refuses to answer, boiling water is poured onto him. It is cruel and inhumane, but Dover is willing to do anything to find his daughter. At the same time, while Franklin and his wife are out, the suspicious man from before breaks into their house. Their eldest daughter is home alone at the time. By the time Franklin returns, the man is already gone. Not long after, he breaks into Dover's house as well. He quietly enters Anna's room, but Dover's wife suddenly notices him. Once again, the man escapes without leaving a trace. Panicked, she calls the police, convinced it might have been her daughter. At first, Loki thinks she is just hallucinating. He is taken to the basement to check if Anna might be there, But during that visit, he accidentally notices something unusual. There are tools that suggest Dover may be hiding something. His suspicion grows stronger when Dover's wife mentions that her husband has been coming home late almost every night, supposedly helping with the search. The next day, Loki decides to follow Dover. But Dover quickly realizes he is being watched, so he pretends to stop by a liquor store. By doing this, he manages to turn the situation around and confront Loki directly. Their argument escalates. Loki insists on finding out what Dover's really up to, while Dover lashes out, accusing the police of wasting time on him instead of focusing on finding his daughter. Overwhelmed by everything, Dover returns home drunk. He even starts hallucinating, imagining his daughter calling out for help. When he wakes up, he goes straight back to interrogating Alex. The vision only strengthens his resolve, pushing him further past the point of compassion. Then, in the middle of it all, Alex suddenly says something strange. He claims that he is not actually Alex. It feels like another piece of a puzzle that leads nowhere, leaving Dover even more desperate. Not long after, Loki suddenly arrives at the location and tries to get inside. Dover panics, knowing that if he is caught, he could go to prison. He pretends that he often comes there just to drink, but Loki is not convinced. He begins searching every room. Just as he is about to uncover where Alex is being held, Loki receives a call from the store clerk saying the suspicious man has just been spotted again.
Shit.
Go home, Mr. Dover.
Using the vehicle information, Loki tracks the man down to his house and quickly moves in. He searches the entire place. In the kitchen, he finds pork with strands of blonde hair attached to it. In another room, he discovers several locked black boxes. Unable to open them by hand, he secures the suspect and retrieves a crowbar. When the boxes are finally opened, the contents are disturbing. Inside are children's clothes stained with blood, along with snakes and multiple drawings of mazes. The story then shifts as Franklin and Dover are called to the police station to identify the clothing found inside the boxes. According to the suspect, every child he abducted has already been killed, but the locations of their bodies are still unknown. Franklin and Nancy recognize Joy's clothing, confirming their worst fear. Their daughter is gone. Then it is Dover's turn. Among dozens of photos, he finally recognizes one piece of clothing. It belongs to Anna. Dover chooses to keep this devastating news from his wife. He wants to find Anna's body first, hoping to spare her from completely breaking down. To keep her in the dark, he asks his son to keep her away from the television and newspapers. At the same time, the suspect, Bob Taylor, is being interrogated. The police give him time to draw a map showing where the victims' bodies are located. But after hours inside the room, he does not draw a map at all. Instead, he fills the page with maze drawings. Loki, already overwhelmed, begins to lose his patience and decides to question him directly. In a moment of emotional pressure, something unexpected happens, and Taylor ends his own life.
No.
Despite everything, Dover still believes that Alex knows where Anna is. He continues to hold him captive, and at one point, Alex reveals another strange clue. He says the children are trapped in a maze, but he never explains where this maze is, leaving Dover with more questions than answers. Trying to understand what that means, Dover visits Alex's aunt again. This time, he pretends to apologize, hoping to learn more about Alex's past. He finds out that Alex's condition may have started after he was bitten by his uncle's pet snake when he was young. It is an unusual detail, but it still does not explain the meaning of the maze. During this time, Dover also sees the news about Taylor's death. Loki feels guilty for what happened, but he is even more disturbed by the maze drawings Taylor left behind. As the pressure builds, people begin telling him to give up. Instead, he keeps pushing forward. Back at his desk, he suddenly notices something important. The maze Taylor drew closely resembles the symbol on a necklace found on the body in the priest's hidden room. More truths begin to surface. The blood found on Anna and Joy's clothes is not human. It is pig's blood. At Taylor's house, there are no bodies, only childlike mannequins. It turns out Taylor was once a victim himself. Years ago, he was abducted for 3 weeks and injected with a substance that erased his memory of his captor. The trauma left him deeply disturbed. It is possible he became obsessed with these crimes and started acting as if he were responsible for them. Another crucial detail emerges. All the children's clothes found in the boxes are brand new, except for Anna and Joy's. This raises an important question. Why would Taylor go to such lengths, and why are only their clothes real? That is when Loki remembers something. Dover's wife once reported that someone had broken into their home. Following Taylor's escape route, Loki discovers one of Anna's socks. Everything finally starts to make sense. Taylor had been breaking into the victims' homes not to abduct them, but simply to steal their clothes. At the same time, a shocking update finally comes in. The police manage to find Joy alive on the side of the road, and she is immediately taken to the hospital. Without wasting a second, Dover and his wife rush there. From what Joy remembers, she and Anna were drugged after being taken. They were forced to solve maze puzzles, with the promise that whoever finished first would be allowed to leave. At one point, when their captor was not paying attention, the two girls tried to escape. But during the attempt, Anna was caught again. The most unsettling part is that Joy recalls hearing Dover's voice while she was being held captive. That detail is enough for Dover to figure out the truth. He suddenly knows who is behind all of this. Meanwhile, Loki starts to suspect Dover himself, believing he might be involved in the kidnapping. He heads back to the hidden location, expecting to find him there. But instead, he only finds Alex screaming for help. Dover is already somewhere else. He has gone straight to Alex's aunt's house. From the very beginning, she has been the real mastermind behind the kidnappings. But when Dover tries to confront her, he is immediately overpowered and held at gunpoint. Desperate to find Anna, Dover agrees to follow her instructions. He allows himself to be restrained and even forced to drink a strange substance. That is when the full truth finally comes out. Years ago, Alex's aunt and her husband had been abducting children as a way to take revenge against God for the loss of their own child. Alex was their first victim. Taylor was another. The trauma from those experiences explains why both of them ended up the way they did. Then another secret is revealed. The old rusted car parked outside the house is not just scrap. Beneath it, there is a hidden underground chamber. No one ever suspected it because the car looks completely unusable. Dover calls out for Anna from inside, but there is no response. It turns out he has been tricked. Instead of being reunited with his daughter, he is thrown into the pit and left there.
Wait.
Still, he manages to secretly keep a small flashlight with him. Inside the darkness, he finds a red whistle that belongs to Anna, proof that she was once held in the same place. All he can do now is hope that his daughter has not met the same fate. Later that night, Loki is sent to Alex's aunt's house to follow up on the case. But when he arrives, she assumes he has come to arrest her. In a panic, she injects Anna with a dangerous substance. When she does not respond to his presence, Loki forces his way inside. While searching the house, he notices a photograph of the aunt's husband. Around the man's neck is a necklace identical to the one found on the body in the priest's basement. In that moment, everything clicks. Loki finally realizes who the real culprit is, but he is already too late. The aunt has already injected Anna. A shootout breaks out between them, and Loki is hit, the bullet grazing his forehead.
Show me your fucking hands. Do not move and show me your hands.
Despite the injury, he manages to stop her. Without hesitation, he rushes Anna, who is in critical condition, to the hospital. Bleeding heavily, he struggles to stay focused on the road. The situation becomes even more urgent as Anna begins to foam at the mouth, her condition rapidly worsening. The next day, new information finally comes to light. A newspaper reveals that Alex is actually Barry, the boy who was abducted 26 years ago. Beneath that headline, there is another update. Dover is now officially missing, and no one knows where he is. Not long after, Loki is approached by Anna, who has recovered enough to express her gratitude. Dover's wife also speaks to Loki, telling him that her husband still has not returned. But she asks him to believe one thing. No matter what he did, Dover is a good father. Everything he did came from his desperation to find his daughter. 2 nights later, forensic teams continue digging through the yard of Alex's aunt's house, searching for the bodies of other victims. But as night falls, the searches pause without any major discoveries. Loki decides to stay behind for a while, quietly reflecting on everything that has happened. The case may be closing, but something still does not feel right. Then in the silence, he hears it, a faint whistle coming from beneath the car. So the moral of the story is if your kid asks to grab a toy, just go with them. Because apparently that one small trip can unlock a full-level nightmare maze with zero exit.